Changeling is a stealth antagonist that is primarily focused on stealthy self-preservation. What that means is your primary objective is literally, I must survive no matter what. Just a quick FYI, this is a showcase. I've actually never played Changeling in 14, period. So I'm just covering what I can figure out through surface level information and knowledge I have about Changeling in general, and quick messing around. When I say quick, I spent a few hours messing around with this. So again, this is a showcase, not necessarily a guide, but the showcase will give you a basic idea of how to play Changeling. So the primary objective as well, other than survival, is extracting compatible genomes. And we're going to go over the very basic abilities of what that means. In your ability list, you're going to have a few options. You're going to have your open evolution menu, which is equivalent of like a trader shop, but for abilities. Absorb DNA, absorb the target's DNA, husking them in the process. Extract DNA, steal your target's genetic information, which is the genomes, which is your objective. You have cycle DNA, which will cycle between stolen genomes. Transform will literally transform you into those stolen genomes DNA. Enter regenerative stasis, fake your death, start regenerating, drains all your chemicals and consumes biomass. Exit stasis, rise from the dead. These two being their own actions is somewhat confusing. I'm sure that will confuse somebody, but I'll explain that later. On your side health bar, two things you'll notice. You have biomass. This is your health. If it reaches 0, it is game over. Absorb humans to recover some of it. And chemicals. Spend chemicals to use your ability slowly regenerates. Think of chemicals as your mana, and biomass directly sets it's your health. It's not your literal health bar, but if it gets low, you will perma-die. And it is important in its own way, but chemicals is what makes you able to do very crazy things. So the bread and butter of a Changeling, again, is having to get these genomes, which requires using your extract DNA sting. You can walk up to anybody, activate your ability and click them, and you'll silently sting them. There is no tell or anything that you have done this to them, and you'll begin completing your objective. Now, if I use cycle DNA, I could cycle to their DNA specifically, and if I were to transform, I would transform into them, losing my original body. You may be asking yourself, why not just go sting 8 random people? Well, you can't do that. You can only have 4 or I think 5 DNA stored total before you must transform in order to get more DNA. So you cannot stay as your original body or original self the entire time. So that is one piece of the stealth element you'll have to get used to. You can also technically impersonate or clone or duplicate any single person on the station. Obviously, you have an easier time impersonating somebody who's dead, which, by the way, you can use your DNA extraction on any person. If they're dead, crit, alive, whatever the case may be. So you may want to try to be somebody who's dead or kill the person. However, the Changeling is not somebody who's supposed to be going around murdering everyone. You will have to kill a few people. As mentioned, you have a thing called biomass, and this biomass is, I think I literally read in a patch note or just a few seconds ago that you're not supposed to lose biomass, but I believe there is still a bug or some bug where you lose 0.5 biomass per minute, meaning you will have to absorb somebody at least once or twice a shift or you will die. So there are things that will force you to go loud in quotations, aka absorb people. You will have to probably absorb 1 or 2 people a shift in order not to run out of biomass, because since you run out of biomass, you start puking and making obvious signs you're a Changeling, and you will eventually just perma-die if you do not have full biomass. The other way of losing biomass is when you're dead, or you put yourself in a regenerative stasis, but I don't want to confuse this too much. This is, again, not really a guide. The Changeling has options to buy a bunch of different abilities. Some of these abilities also require absorption, so that is the other thing that's going to force you to have to kill people if you want to use your stronger abilities. A lot of abilities in the combat tab, I'll scroll through them slowly, you could pause and read them if you want, do require absorption of people. Most of them will require some form of chemical cost or have some self-damage to your body. There's also a sting category, which is like your DNA sting. They will either infect people and damage them, slow them, mute them, blind them. Really a lot of stealthy things. It is a stealthy tag. Then you have utility, which is all over the place. There's self-preservation, transforming into lesser forms, being able to break out of cuffs, built-in radio, invisibility, not needing the ability to wear spacesuits, speed boost, better eyesight, rapid healing, infecting other people to make them a Changeling. There are a lot of abilities and options to choose from, and again, as mentioned, some things do require absorption, specifically the things that will help you kill a lot of people, like having the Shriek or the Shield. Getting the armor requires absorbing 2 people, so there are options to go louder than normal, but you're never going to be able to just cut everyone down. You get powerful abilities like range throwing weapons and melee, but you're not exactly getting like nuclear bombs like nukies or anything, dude. You're not a nuki level threat. You're not a wizard level threat. You're not meant to be killing everyone. If you try to absorb somebody that is standing, you'll just get a message saying they can't be absorbed until incapacitated, so you could just crit them or put them to sleep in some capacity, and once they are crit, you can then absorb them. This is really the only thing that takes a long time, and people can stop you at this point, so this is something you're gonna, this is why people say fear maintenance. Pretty much all changelings are going to be absorbing somebody in maintenance, and you really can't win against a changeling in a one-on-one. They can put you to sleep, they can just kill you with an arm blade or something. Being stuck in maintenance in a one-on-one against a changeling is certain death. Once you actually absorb somebody, they'll have a text description saying the body feels hollow. You basically hollowed them out entirely, and they will take 200 cellular damage. This prevents them from being cloned and revived through normal methods. However, there are reagents that can revive people who have taken as much cellular damage. That is why I believe even in their server rules, you're not supposed to go around just absorbing everyone, because it's not a permakill, but it's a lot of work to get these people back. But now that we've absorbed them, we actually restored some biomass. You can see our meter has gone up on the side, and we can now then buy abilities that require absorbing an organic. So I could buy the Resonant Shriek now and actually use this. So now when I use this, I won't have the pop-up saying you don't have enough to absorb. The Shriek, I don't know why, seemingly affects yourself. I'm not sure if that's a bug or exactly what the case of that is, but it's supposed to disorient everyone nearby. It also will break lights and stuff. And just to showcase, since I've only absorbed one person, if I try to buy the chitin armor, I will not be able to use it because it will say I need to absorb one more organic. So in case you lost track somehow of absorbing one person, that is something to keep in mind. I will showcase how to get your rest of your green text, which requires having to swap bodies as mentioned earlier in the video. So I'm just going to keep going around stinging each person, and this does take energy in order to do so, so you can't realistically just keep stinging people over and over again. So I've stung up to 4 now. If I sting the 5th person, it will sting them. Once I get to the 6th person though, because I'm at my DNA capacity, it's hard to read, but it says you need to get rid of the stored DNA beforehand in order to do it, and I'm not getting any more green text progress. I can then cycle through all the people I have absorbed their DNA of. So say I want to swap to this person whose name is Corporal Vega. I can swap over to them and then use a transform action, which is instantaneous, and now I look just like them and have their appearance. Then I will still keep all of their DNA, meaning I have 4 stored, which allows me to sting 1 more person, but I will not be able to sting 6th person. So if you're following along, that means after your 5th person, say you need to get 8 genomes, you're going to have to end up transforming 3 times to get all 8 genomes. If you only need 6, you'll have to transform once, so the difficulty can really vary, but it is a total copy of that person. So if they're still alive and they see an identical version of themselves running around, that's a pretty obvious tell you're a changeling. And to close this video out, how do you tell if somebody's a changeling? Well, obviously seeing them do some form of changeling action, like absorbing somebody, pulling out arm blade, changeling abilities, that's very obvious. So some ways that you can be identified as a changeling is through your blood. So if a changeling's low on biomass, they'll go around puking up blood and stuff, and the blood visually is different. It is a lighter red than normal blood, but they are both labeled as ferrous, and even chemical analysis goggles will just see them as blood. So it's weird that they look different physically on the sprite tiles, because even like the color text is the same, and if you were to syringe a changeling directly, it would also still just identify as blood. To confirm that the blood from a person is from a changeling, you can insert the blood into a tabletop centrifuge, and once turned on and runs, the blood will actually explode. So you can kind of consider this to be somewhat of a traitor check, a changeling check, if you will. As you can see, once it mixes, it literally explodes and will leave behind tendons. So immediately telling you that, yeah, that did not come from a normal person. All changelings will share the same type of blood. It is changeling blood, and the way to confirm it is if you see them fighting directly and you didn't see any of their abilities, but they're leaving behind this weird looking blood, that is one indication. To fully check, you should probably use it in a centrifuge to see if it explodes. How do you kill a changeling? Changelings are never truly dead until the body is 100% destroyed. Remember the stasis I mentioned earlier in the video? Well, you can enter that, which will basically kill you, and you'll start regenerating. And exiting the stasis, though, will make you revive with full HP. So if I were to knock myself into a critical state and just to finish myself off, to confirm that they are indeed dead, I'm 100% dead at this point. However, I can use the exit stasis in order to resurrect myself. And it does require energy, and the changelings will always build energy even while dead. So changelings may get up off the ground pretty rapidly, and they will be full health at that point. So in order to kill changelings fully, you have to destroy their body. Chopping off limbs is a rather good method of this. If you are to chop off a changeling's limbs, so I've had my limbs chopped off like so, and if I were to revive myself, exit my regenerative stasis, I can't move. So that is one way to ensure that a changeling does not have the ability to at least get up and attack you again. They can actually convert themselves into like a lesser form. So this is still not a great way of confirming that the changeling will stay dead. They may not be a super big threat or as big of a threat, but they are not dead. One thing you could do to make sure this changeling does not come back is you could throw them in a cremator, toss them in the deep space, but even then space might not be the greatest way of killing them. But also fire is a great option. So I'm not going to pretend I understand Funky / Goobs or whatever's full medical system. There seems to be some bugs involved, especially with ashing, because you don't ash like you would on a normal server, but you still seemingly have your organs ripped out, but some part of the corpse will remain. You'll see what I mean in a second. I don't really know what's intended here or not, but it still has the turn to ash message. You'll see their brain popped out, but there's like, I don't even know what this is. It's like, is this their like soul? This frame of their soul catches on fire. I don't really know what this is, but it's really weird. But that is also a way to make sure a changeling never gets up again. I encourage you to learn more about changeling on your own through your own play. Feel free to join Funky and see if you can manage to roll this in tag. It's a very complicated one. You're probably going to die without great success, but that's how you learn. Get in there, learn it yourself, learn how to be more successful. Hopefully this video gets you your feet in the door so you're not quite as intimidated to play it. Thank you for watching.